Welcome back to Dunkirk Dunes. So I thought I would quickly do the recap turn for Japan, turn 16. The monks just did this turn yesterday, on Sunday. So here's what Japan purchased. I think if I remember right, they had 81 or 83, something like that to spend. But they bought 3 tactical bombers, 2 strategic bombers, a destroyer, and then they spent the rest on tech dice. And they actually ended up getting a tech breakthrough, and what they got was heavy bombers. So they will be making use of that in the future, I suspect. So here are the combat moves and the combats. There's really only one combat here going on. It's the battle for, well, that's not true. There are a couple, but the big one is the battle for Hawaii. So they have this massive Japanese fleet here that has been in C-Zone 26, and I've kind of spread it out, but it's all in C-Zone 26. And so what they did was they took 4 transports with 3 tanks and 4 infantry, and they used that to assault Hawaii itself. And then they also sent in 5 tacticals and 3 fighters for that battle for Hawaii. And there were 8 defenders there in Hawaii, 4 infantry, 2 artillery, and 2 mechanized infantry. All of that was destroyed on the Japanese attack, and the Japanese did suffer 2 casualties, and so they lost 2 of their infantry there. So what's left for Hawaii, which is now in Japanese hands, is 3 tanks and 2 infantry. In addition to that, the Japanese sent this submarine from C-Zone 26 along with 3 fighters, and they sunk this U.S. carrier that was there as a blocker in C-Zone 12. And there were no casualties. The U.S. didn't get a hit with that carrier. And then one other little attack here. The Japanese also sent 1 fighter from C-Zone 26 to go sink this Anzac transport there in 51. And that's it for attacks. Everything else was non-combat moves. Well, that's not, there's no dice rolling other than that, but there are some other combat moves actually. So this one transport here went down to Line Islands and landed an infantry and artillery there in Line Islands. And then some similar action going on here. Another transport went down to the Gilbert Islands, also landed an infantry and artillery there in the Gilbert Islands. And another transport, this one here, went down to the Solomon Islands and landed an infantry artillery there in the Solomon Islands. So they're taking, Japanese are taking all of these Pacific islands. In addition to that, they took a transport here to Wake Island, landed a tank there on Wake Island, and then up here they took another transport up into C-Zone 25 there with Midway, and they landed an infantry and artillery there in Midway. So they've taken 1, 2, 3, 4, I guess 5 islands plus Hawaii. 6 islands they've taken in one turn. They've been busy, obviously. On non-combat, so you remember there's this fighter down here in Sea Zone 51. So what the Japanese did was send one carrier down to 29 and land that fighter there. The rest of these can come off. So the rest of these, okay, so they also sent a carrier here to the Gilberts with 3 destroyers, and another carrier here to the Solomons along with 3 destroyers. And I think the reason they've done this, you'll notice there are 4 US fighters there in Queensland, which could conceivably reach those fleets there, and so I think that's why they've provided some defense there. But so they have, I need to split this out probably, but they've got 2 fighters on this carrier and another 2 fighters on this carrier. I'll have to split that out when I can, or chip that out. And then all of the tacticals have just gone ahead and landed on the carriers that are staying here in Sea Zone 26. So three of the carriers have stayed in Sea Zone 26. And then the rest of these fighters here, one of the fighters has landed on that carrier there in Sea Zone 26. Another fighter has gone down here and landed on that carrier that's in 29. And then the last fighter, I need to go grab a fighter, but instead of a chip, but there are 2 fighters there in 48 as well. So additional non-combat movements they have going on here. So they took 1 infantry and tank and moved them up to New Guinea. And then these, if you can see that here, 4 strategic bombers from the Marshall Islands have flown down and landed on Dutch New Guinea. And then these 3 fighters and 3 tacticals from the Marshall Islands have gone back to the Caroline Islands. And then additional non-combat movements. So the 5 transports here in Sea Zone 6 have loaded up 1 infantry from Japan, and then 7 infantry from Korea, and set sail. 1, 2, 3. Well, it's actually only 2 to get to there. And then grabbed this infantry and artillery from Hong Kong, and then continued on their way down to Sea Zone 36 and unloaded in French Indochina. And so now they've dropped off 10 units from these 5 transports there in French Indochina. Coming with those transports has been this destroyer, as well as this empty carrier. And then, in addition to that, there were these 3 fighters here from Japan. They have flown down, leaving from the air base, landed there in French Indochina. The tank here from Malaya has moved up to join this stack of tanks here in Burma. And then, in addition to that, this mechanized infantry from Kansu has driven down to Sichuan. And then these 3 fighters from Kansu have flown down here to Burma because they really aren't needed any longer up here in Kansu. The Germans are poised to knock out that last little Russian force there in Tunguska. So what's going on here in Africa? So there actually is a combat move here in Africa. It's no dice rolling, but it is a combat move. The tank blitzed through Anglo-Egyptian Sudan and then into Ethiopia, which that will go back to Italy. And then this infantry has moved into Belgian Congo, and these 2 tanks from South Africa, they have also moved up to Belgian Congo. And then this little fleet here has gone around Cape Horn, or sorry, Cape of Good Hope, into Sea Zone 70, taken with it this mechanized infantry from off Madagascar, and unloaded that into Belgian Congo. And I think that basically recaps all that Japan has done. I mean, you can see that the Axis are just kind of running away with this, but the Allies have not yet conceded. This may go to the actual out-of-box victory conditions, which would be either 6 victory cities in the Pacific, or whatever the number is on the Europe side. I believe it's, does it require 8? Something like that. Anyway, they're getting, the Axis are getting close to that. They have, they would need 1 more here on the Pacific side, and a little more than that here on the Europe side, but you can see that they're poised there to take Cairo. They, you know, they ought to be able to get into Leningrad again, to take that back. Warsaw probably as well. And then I think beyond that they may just need 1 more. You know, either London or one of those over there in North America. But anyway, thank you for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this game. It does seem like it's probably getting near the end here. You see the build-up here between India and Burma. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll have another update probably next week. Oh, I neglected to show where these new units were getting placed. So the destroyer has been built there in Hong Kong. The 2 strategic bombers have been built in Hong Kong, and the 3 tacticals have been built in Malaya. So that is it. Thank you for watching.